If you watched my video last week, I summarized my car enthusiast life and how I worked my way up to racing my first Spec Miata race weekend. Leading up to the race, I spent as much time as I could practicing Laguna Seca on my racing sim. Although it is difficult to find a car that closely matches a Spec Miata in the simulators, the practice proved valuable regardless. Thursday night, I packed up my safety gear and video equipment and drove down to a hotel in Salinas, just north of Laguna Seca in Monterey.
SUV is packed up, got my checklists checked off. I am super excited. It's been a long time since I've been this excited for anything. Got about an hour drive ahead of myself. The mood is like insanely nice, by the way. It's straight ahead of me and it's very distracting, but it's kind of amazing. But I've got about an hour drive to go. Super excited. And once I get to the hotel, I'm just gonna check in, make sure I got everything sorted. I'm just gonna go through my checklist once again once I get to the hotel, and then try to get as much sleep as I can, review the track a bunch more times, watch videos of how people in Spec Miatas run this track, what lines they take and what gears they're in and everything like that, whether or not there are decent passing zones and where are they, and that'll be it. So if I don't see you tonight for my checklist, I will see you guys in the morning. I know there's like no chance you guys can see that clearly, but it is like an amazing full moon. Alright, in my eye line of sight to enjoy. I'm here at the hotel. Got my gear here. Checklist is checked.
The weekend schedule for the Spec Miata run group was as follows. Each day had 2 sessions per group. Friday had 1 practice session in the early morning, 9 a.m., followed by a qualifying round at 1:25 p.m. Saturday started with a second qualifying round in the early morning at 9 a.m., followed by the first race session in the afternoon at 1:25 p.m. And finally on Sunday, there would be an optional practice session at 8:30 a.m., then the last race session in the late morning starting at 11:25 a.m. On the first day, I met and shared tent space with Tim Weaver. He holds one of the lap records in a Spec Miata at Laguna Seca. He has been racing Spec Miata for many years, so I couldn't expect to be as fast as he is, but he did give me valuable advice. His fastest time that day was under 1 minute and 46 seconds. Overall, I had an eye-opening experience with more than a few interesting moments. But first let's go over Laguna Seca and cover what I think are the most challenging corners of the track. 3 main corners come to mind for me when driving Laguna Seca, or WeatherTech Raceway. My main concern on this track was turn 9. Not the corkscrew on turn 8 as many might expect. Turn 9 is the first turn after the famous corkscrew. The camber is somewhat flat but changes to positive camber, which is usually helpful, but then quickly changes back to neutral, while the entire length of the turn changes from moderately downhill to slightly downhill. You need to hit the apex just right while tracking out wide and as late as you can by the end of the berm. One difference between turn 9 and the other turns on this track is that you don't want to track out as wide as possible before the apex of the turn. In my past experience, it is very easy to find the rear of the car losing grip, causing too much oversteer as the weight of the car moves forward towards the front wheels, leaving less weight for the rear. If you can hit your apex properly, you can get back on the throttle to shift more weight toward the rear wheels to provide more grip. You can also see the skid marks on the track where many people have spun and gone off track. And that's why I think turn 9 is the most difficult corner to master on Laguna Seca. My second biggest challenge was turn 6, the fastest turn on this track, aside from turn 7, which isn't really much of a turn. Turn 6 is an almost blind turn, as it can be difficult to see your apex coming over the crest of the hill. You want to carry as much speed as possible through this turn and utilize the width of the track on corner exit without going off track, because you are then faced with an uphill climb, which especially can be a struggle for a small displacement engine like in the Miata. This turn requires patience and practice as you build up the confidence to find how much speed you can carry through this corner. Also, left foot braking is your friend here. And finally, my last concern was turn 8, the famous corkscrew. Although it looks more intimidating, the challenge here is simple. Find the latest braking point you can so you don't slow down too soon or too quickly without launching yourself off the outside of turn 8. If you do the corkscrew correctly, the car won't feel settled throughout the entire turn until the end. The braking zone going into the corkscrew is tricky due to the crusting of the hill right around your braking zone. My strategy was to use the last bit of uphill to assist in braking while easing off the brakes so the rear of the car wouldn't be too unsettled to control during turning. Now personally, turn 11 is my own challenge that I find most difficult to perfect. It is a less than 90-degree turn, requiring second gear in any situation. Many spec racers use a 4-to-2 gear change, skipping third altogether. Now this wasn't something I was used to. I attempted the 4-to-2 gear change on the last race of the weekend, but ultimately had to revert back to my old ways of using a 4-3-2 gear change because I went slightly off track twice here, allowing one person to pass me. And one last thought on Laguna Seca. I have a feeling that with the proper line, you may be able to still turn out a really good fast lap, staying in third gear on turn 2, which is the first demanding turn after the main straight. But I'd be willing to bet second gear is necessary if you're looking to break records and be at the top. Now, let's see how I did overall.
Alright, it is about 7:30. I'm running a little bit behind. If you know me at all, you know I am definitely not a morning person. Probably only got about 5.5-ish hours of sleep, unfortunately, but I mean, there's too much excitement to fall asleep early, especially earlier than I usually fall asleep. And it's wet outside. The forecast said it was going to be nice and sunny and only partly cloudy, but it is early, so I'm hoping all this, this all dries up. And rain means wet track, so wet track means interesting things. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to get there, wait in line to get in the track to get my temperature taken. I'll see you guys shortly.
damage point here. Just shoot for 7 on drive. Start your drive out.
Friday's practice session began with less than ideal conditions compared to what we expected. But seat time is seat time. One of the bigger challenges I would be facing would be getting comfortable with the car I had never driven before on a track I had only visited twice in the past. Once in the pouring rain, and another in a very different car. I'm happy to say it didn't take me too long to get comfortable with the car, and I could really tell my seat time in the simulator has given me better muscle memory for controlling slides.
Alright, just finished the first session. It's super wet out there and I'm pretty intimidated by it, to be honest with you. I'm trying to push it. I've slid the car around turn 2 a good bit. Really nervous breaking into the corkscrew, and I gotta say my shoes are... not sure if my shoes are working for me. They're super stiff and I know they need time to break in, but it's pretty damn rough, so but we'll see.
Fortunately, the track was dry at the start of the first qualifying round of the weekend.
Best time was what, 1:53 something? Not amazing. Whew, I'm sweating. I'm glad it's not sunny now. We'll see, you know. It's been fine.
My personal best on day 1 was a 1 minute and 53.3 second lap time. Not too bad for my first day in a new car, but a little far from my goal of 1 minute and 50 seconds.
It is warm in here. I mean, that went decently well.
31, wire 139, 40, 11, look out. There it is.
It is hot in here.
They're warm.
Yeah, it was good though.
That's 53.3. That's good.
Cool.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Totally acceptable.
Only what?
So totally acceptable. 53.3. You've
Cool.
never driven this car, or you know, been in a. You'll start to feel, and you know where things are going to start to work.
Yeah, after I put down that lap, my tires I think were just getting hot maybe?
Yeah.
No? You don't think so?
Well, yeah, they get greasy, but you don't.
I took...
So that was pretty good. Had a good day. Like a top 5 time ever, I guess, apparently, according to people I was chatting with, is around a 145, under 146. So 145.7, 145.3, anything around the 145 mark. Now my best time today was a 153.3, which isn't super competitive. It's not bad. Some people would call it decent, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. Would I like to get under 150? Of course. I would love to be going faster, but that is a never-ending process. But this is my first time out here in a Spec Miata, in a car I've never driven, and I had a great time. It was much more relaxed than I expected. I mean, yes, there were bits and pieces where there were more crowds that I had to kind of work around and let people pass and vice versa, but overall it was good. I love competitive driving and racing, but it is very difficult to break in as a competitive driver. Now, I know that it would just take time and I could probably be there. I'm pretty confident there with my abilities and whatnot. But do I really want to spend the next probably 2 years at minimum learning on a car that might not even be mine? I would just be renting. I'm not sure. But we'll see how the next couple days go. I like the idea of being able to learn my own car that I get very, very close with and I know in and out, and I've been in scenarios where I've spun it and I can take it to any event I want, and I have total control over the mods and what classing I'm going to be in, and I know the history of the car, etc. So I don't think I have the funds to do both. I mean, this weekend alone is going to probably be costing me almost $3,000. Because even though I love driving and I want to be competitive, it's a serious passion that I want to see how far I can take. And, you know, everybody has their limits. If I'm not willing to devote, you know, my entire life and all of my money towards it, I'm not sure if I really want to do it. I'm trying like to go 9/10 out here. I'm not going 10/10, and I know that, but I'm very afraid of spinning out, and I'm not used to running on Toyo RRs, and that's just another thing that I need to learn. Like, I was slowed down after maybe 4 or 5 laps because I, you know, coming around turn 9, I was starting to feel like maybe my tires were starting to lose grip because I was sliding around turn 9, which is right after the corkscrew, which is a turn I have spun out on in the pouring rain. Unfortunately, I don't have that on camera, but at least the spin on camera, I have me sitting in the rain with a roofless Miata being drenched wet, soaking wet. The fastest way to learn is to watch someone else in your car or a similar car and watch their line. Where are they braking? How late are they braking? Are they on the gas? Do they even touch the brakes, or do they just lift off the throttle? What line are they taking? Are they turning in earlier or later than I am, and are they faster because of it? It's all of those things that really add up. Like, who's going a little bit faster? Am I able to catch somebody who's just like being able to chase people? That is like really thrilling. I'm hoping that I can have that experience a little bit more on track tomorrow than I did today.
That's a good sign. Okay, clutch in. Try it. All right.
There we go.
Do not stall it.
Okay.
In fact, you know what? We're gonna stay right here.
Okay.
We'll just roll right across.
Day 2 started off very similar, but fortunately, the track again dried up before the start of the second qualifying round. A few hours later, it was time for the first official race session.
Ryan, have fun, dude.
Hey, too.
Give him hell out there.
Thanks. You too.
You ready?
I believe so.
Okay. Just be safe. Have fun.
I will.
Do your best. 2 seconds off. Alright. Cameras are all started.
All right.
Hopefully they don't die. Alright.
Here we go, I guess.
Do it, man.
Let's do it.
Here's your 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I was much more excited and a bit nervous by the large crowd I would be sending off with.
There's 50 total.
Okay.
So there's somebody in the 49th spot right now, so.
All right.
3 minutes.
3
All right,
minutes.
good luck.
Thank you. All right, first official race starts in under 2 minutes.
I knew the traffic would be heavy and I was going into an unfamiliar situation. I had never properly staged before, so it was a very new experience. I would be one of 52 cars in this one race session. It wasn't just a spaced out time trial run this time, or an open track day like I'm used to. This time, I would be one of 52 cars competing against one another, starting in position 30, my qualifying position. The group is so large, the green flag is waved before reaching the main straight for those of us in the mid to end of the pack. On the very first lap, I ran into an issue with my car going into turn 4. I was surrounded by a lot of traffic, so I decided to stay in third gear longer than normal, and suddenly, I lost engine power. It took me a moment to realize what had happened. There was so much going on around me that I wasn't sure if the engine had died or if the transmission wasn't engaging. Something was wrong with the clutch. I had to center myself before realizing my only option was to try turning off and on the car again. And my tach was reading 0 RPM. I was just a sitting duck coasting on the track until I figured out the engine had shut off completely. So I turned off the ignition, I turned it back on, and the car started up. Immediately, my mindset changed. I was out to catch up to anyone who was given a free pass, and that was some real motivation.
Well, I lost the throttle, but the engine was still somehow running, so I have no idea what happened there. So I thought, but it must have been the cars around me. I have no idea what happened. But that's racing. Guess I'll just go for best lap time.
A lap or two later, there was a full course yellow, which was a saving grace. It gave me an opportunity to catch up with the rest of the pack, a real lucky break. The rules for full course yellow are no passing and relatively conservative driving, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to catch up to the guy in front of you, and I had a lot of lost time to make up for it.
Opportunity to catch up. There's no passing allowed. Luckily, there's no one in front of me to pass.
full course yellow was done, I fought for position until I made it up to spot 30 of 52. Although I had a rough start to the first race, I think I settled about into the position I would have regardless. I wasn't closing in on the car ahead of me, and the car behind me wasn't catching up for the last 2 laps or so. And overall, I was happy with the session despite technical difficulties.
Well, didn't finish where I wanted to, but that's alright.
The 8 of Eric Paulson on the inside of the 8th row, Houston Clovis, and right here local, and the 3rd row, Dave Brendan.
Alright, just finished up the first race and it was pretty amazing. Things went wrong, the car shut off unexpectedly, but that's okay. I still had a great time, and I think I honestly just ended up exactly where I would have placed anyway, for the most part. I think I finished 30th. Yeah, coming around turn 4, I was in 3rd gear. As far as I'm aware, I'm gonna have to look at the footage, but the car just shut off. And I was very confused as to what was going on. Was it actually turned off, or was it, did I somehow over rev it? But I didn't switch gears, so it was confusing. But yeah, had a great time. There's one more 40-minute race tomorrow at 11 something a.m., which will be a fun time. It's a long race. These ones were only 20 minutes, so it'll be twice as long, but I'm prepared for that. I'm comfortable enough for sure. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Excited. Let's do it. Here we go. I just peed and I have to pee again.
On Sunday, day 3, instead of having 2 20-minute sessions, there was an optional 15-minute session in the morning, and then a 40-minute race session starting at 11:25 a.m. The fact that this race would be twice as long as I am used to was yet another new
Interesting, I'm
experience.
starting on the right side this time. There they go. Let's do this.
I'd only done 20-minute sessions in the past, which can sometimes be just long enough before you start getting fatigued and start making more mistakes here and there. Once again, I was lined up in position, this time more amped up than the first race. I knew I'd be trying to fight for the best spot I could, keeping in mind, as long as there's no damage and no one gets hurt, I have had a successful weekend. This time, the guy starting right behind me used his experience to his advantage, knowing when the race really starts for the rest of us in the middle of the pack. Immediately, he passes me, and I find some extra motivation. Chasing someone is my favorite part of racing and track driving. Just pushing your car a little more than the person in front of you, braking a little later, getting back on the gas sooner, and slowly working your way up is so challenging, yet so rewarding, putting on the pressure. Eventually I did pass him, taking a small victory for myself. But it is short-lived after only 2 laps as I attempt a 4-2 gear change going into turn 11. I overshoot the turn and go off course, allowing not just 1 but 2 cars to pass.
unless it's just this is our second to last lap. But we'll see.
Eventually I do make my way back up to where I'd like to be, with only one lap left. And as I push the car a bit harder through turn 10, the car again dies on me. This time, I know I just need to turn off and on the car again, but this time, luck was not on my side. The engine wouldn't turn over, and I had to coast to a stop at the side of the track. I was just short from the finish line, watching everyone else crosses and completes the race. It was a very, very frustrating time, to say the least. Sitting in the car and waiting for the tow truck gave me more time to think and calm down before retiring to the pits. And as the phrase goes, that's racing.
Start. Huh? Yep. Yeah, by turn 11. I'm frustrated. Yep.
It's alright. You did a great, amazing race. You should be proud of yourself. You ready? I'm gonna push in.
Sure.
Okay?
I hit the berm, and I hit it like moderately hard, and I felt the loss of power, similar to yesterday when I was around turn 4 when it shut off. So immediately I'm like, okay, I've been through this. I'll turn it off and turn it back on real quick. It would crank, but it wouldn't go.
You were up to 26 a couple times, holding it. You were following Joe. You were following lines extremely well. You should be proud. You know, you can't control if the car dies. Like you said, it's a rental car, it's not your own. So what you accomplished, you should be extremely proud of what you did.
Although on the last race of the weekend I had made my way up to position 24 of 52, officially being in the top half of the group, I did have a very rewarding experience regardless of what happened. Now here are my closing thoughts. At the end of the day, It was time to say goodbye to the amazing people I had met and spent time with over the last 3 days, having conversations with people who were just as passionate about cars and track days, racing and driving as I am.
You bought this brand new. In what year? Wow. That's awesome. I'm gonna get you in this video.
It was a great experience. There's such a wide variety of cars out there, and you'll always see something interesting. It's like going to a race event, and as an added bonus, there's a car show at the same time. Overall, there was far more downtime than I'm used to. Usually, a standard track day gives you about 4 or 5 20-minute sessions, with an hour or so between to take a break. And this usually ends up feeling like there's not much downtime. But for this weekend, there were only 2 sessions per day, with about 4 hours of downtime between them. And that downtime is well received. I appreciate being able to really relax and take a break instead of feeling rushed, trying to get back on track and trying to think through the things you'd like to cover in your own head and make sure you improve upon your mistakes and carry your experience into the next session. Unfortunately, due to COVID, 4 of the first 5 race weekends have already been canceled, putting a dampener on what I thought would be my first season in a wheel-to-wheel race series. And although the weekend didn't end exactly like I would have liked it to, I am getting a sense of understanding where I stand in this sport. I held my own at my first event, managing to make it up to the position 24 in a 52-person race. Many of the racers at the top have been racing for many years and are very experienced, especially at these racetracks. In order for me to cut another 4 seconds off my time, I would need more than just 1 day in a Spec Miata, if not a few seasons. And although I'm not sure if I'll be choosing to continue renting a Spec Miata to continue following my passion for racing, I know that I will be returning to the track very soon. Thank you very much again for making it to the end. Please show me some support by clicking the like and subscribing. I really do appreciate it. Share with your friends who may be interested in getting into performance driving and racing events and track days. I want to share as much of my own experience as I can.